Like I said, it was close.
Okay,
Okay.
so we are now legally a meeting and I need to call a roll and see who's here. So, Mary Jo,
So Mary Jo Johnson, present.
thank you.
Make
Jessica,
peace here.
Jeanette,
Stockton here.
okay, and Millinger here. Okay, so we are officially calling the meeting to order and I cannot see the time. It says 5:06, but I think that's wrong. What time is it?
It's
I have
5:50.
Sorry?
I have 10:06.
Okay. So it is 5:50. Okay, and we will try to buzz through the meeting because Jeanette's got family here and really wants to be finished in an hour. So the first item is the minutes of June 11th. Did anybody have, I guess we should put a motion on the floor to discuss the minute, to approve the minutes of June 11th. Anybody willing to do that?
So move.
Thank you. Got a second?
Second.
Good, thank you. Okay, is there any discussion about the minutes? Is there anything that needs to be changed?
I didn't see anything.
Look good to me.
Same.
Okay. We ready to vote on the minutes?
So motion to accept the minutes.
Okay,
Second.
okay,
All in favor?
okay, let's see. Mary Jo,
Aye.
Make
Jeff?
peace and I.
Stockton, aye.
okay, Millinger, aye. Okay, we've done the minutes. Financial report, Jess, you're on.
Okay, you're gonna lose my face though, because I
Okay,
have to go into my
that's okay, just as long as you come back.
oh yeah, I'm here. So our financials are if I can find them. So we began with, I don't have my glasses, $2,795 in the grant, and in our revolving account, 740. There's question about what happened to the money, the 3942 that was in the fiscal year budget, 25. I don't know if she used that or if it got rolled back into the town. I have to clarify that with her. We paid, May clinic was 385 and June clinic was 440. We donated library passes at $400 for Magic Wings and Mass Mocha, and we donated $750 to Village Neighbors. The deposit to the June Foot Clinic was $417, and we received our fiscal year 26 budget from the town of $200. Our ending balances are, our grant is 1,560. Our revolving account is 417. And of course, the budget is still the 200 for the town. So it's a total expense of $2,177 altogether.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
No,
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Jessica, for doing
you're
this.
welcome.
So we have in the agenda left over from last time, or maybe several times, requesting an increase in the town budget line, but I would suggest we put that off to the fall.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so an update on the community lunch. We probably had our biggest turnout ever. I think there were 16 there. When you came, you were number 16, Jeanette.
Yeah.
Yep. Which was really great. And Joan and Alan Hansen came and they've never come before. So that was nice. I'm not sure we had anybody from Sirius. We recently have been having somebody, one or two.
Jim has been coming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and he wasn't there.
yeah.
Yes. I might ask him, I might email him before the next one to just remind him that we're happy to have him there.
Yeah, I could, I could do that too. In fact, I often, I shouldn't say often, you know, I give him rides from time to time and I'm actually in touch with him. He comes to my yoga class. So we
Good.
talk. And usually when he's so interested in doing all these things. But he also has a lot going on in his life. So I think, I think he enjoyed it, when he came and will come when he can.
Okay. Well, I don't want to sort of be pushing him about it. You know, he's also a foot clinic care.
Yes,
Clinic.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Patient, yeah, client. Okay, so I need to tell you about community lunch. I guess I probably need you to approve this, actually. It's getting too much for me, assisting Sally because, Sally's not really good at communicating. And she often runs late and when I can't reach her on the phone, I don't know whether something's the matter with her or she's just running late. And so it's really frustrating to me. So I wanted somebody else to take over as assisting Sally and sort of co-running the community lunch. Does that seem reasonable?
It seems reasonable. I know, not to make excuses for people, but I know Sally had been away and then it looked like she had her granddaughter there. But
It-
there are people that come pretty regularly that maybe, we could ask other people for help.
Well, I asked Susie Moser because
Uh-huh,
she and Dave are always there and
right,
always stay to clean up after.
right. So you did, or you're thinking about it?
I did.
And
And Susie said yes.
great. So then it's a moot point. It's a done deal.
Yeah, but I mean, I probably
Oh.
should have, yeah, I probably should have asked you before I did.
I think it's great to ask for as much help as you can get when you need it. You
Okay.
don't need permission to ask for help, as far as
Oh.
I'm concerned.
Okay, good. Thank you. And
And-
it's always nice to involve other people in our activities.
Yeah, I'm sure they were very happy to sort of, because they're helping anyway. So this way, it's almost like they really feel like it's being acknowledged in a way by having asked
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, that we need them.
Yes.
Yeah. They're really helpful. Yeah. Okay, so that's the story on community. Oh, that's the other thing we were chatting about what we might possibly put in the newsletter before
Mhm.
you came, Jeanette, and there was something that I couldn't remember, and it's the dancing class.
Mm.
Because Joan's going to start that up again in the fall.
Okay.
So I'll just add that to the list if possible.
Now, did you talk a bit about the newsletter with like our approach to it, or we're going to now discuss options?
Well, I will just, when we get to the newsletter, I'll just read you, all we did was think about possibilities. We didn't really get beyond that.
For articles.
What we might include, content.
Okay, yeah, content, not the actual process.
No, exactly. I talked a little bit about what it was in the old days. Okay, update on the foot clinic. Simone is starting next Wednesday, which is really exciting. And as Jeanette knows, something else I did at the community lunch was ask around if anybody wanted to become the coordinator of the foot clinic. And Donna Corvino said she would be interested. And we're going to talk about it after she gets back from her current travels, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we might split it, or if Rich is interested, the two of them can split it because it's at least 4 hours sitting there, and it's fun to meet people, but it's 4 hours commitment, and it's for a volunteer activity. So I think dividing it would be a good thing. So I'd like to ask you your input about something which involves Simone and her work. So Simone is she has this clinic she runs in in the western hill towns starts at 9 and runs till 5. So she's used to a big chunk of work at once. And I told her that we would like to keep roughly to our current schedule of 9 to 4 to 1, partly
Mhm.
because I wouldn't want to be asking anybody as a coordinator to sit around for more than 4 hours. And currently we've had slots for 8 people a month, and we keep a waiting list if anybody wants to another appointment. And we also in the past have said, okay, you only get an appointment once a month unless your feet really need help. If your feet really need help, we'll let you meet every month. That's the way we've done it in the past. And the group, from the people that I've met so far, everybody seems pretty happy with meeting once every 2 months, and sometimes, because of various personal stuff, they meet once every 3 or 4 months. And we've got a couple who come up from Florida and just meet in the summer. There are regularly 2 people who are on the waiting list. So that, just so that you know, that neither one of them has, as far as I know, has difficult feet. Okay, they just like the idea of having their foot care once a month. Both of these people pay much less than everybody else does. And I'm not sure, I probably should not even think about that. But if we were to expand the amount of time we do, and so from 9 to 2, more maybe even later, it would cost us more because some of the people who are being added are not people who are full pay. And, full pay, there are people right now that pay close to full pay, but most people who pay a lot pay $10, as Jessica, I think, knows. So I'm hoping we could at least continue everybody at $10, but we have people that pay $3.50.
Yeah, there was one last month that paid $2.
Yeah.
I had gotten the impression that we were going to say it's $10. I don't know why I think that. I know that one of the people that comes is really very, very, very close to the bone.
Yeah.
And that's really nobody's business, that you're looking and judging, but sometimes it can make one kind of angry when you see people that do have the money to do lots of things, but they don't have the money to make a little donation to a cause and a great service. But that's judgment, and that's trying to act upon judgment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what about, I'm just trying to think about, in terms of breaks for Simone and like a lunch time, a little lunch. I mean, she just works. She sounds like me in my old job, and I'm worn out still 5 years later. Is there any time built in for her to like take a breather?
Well, okay, that's another piece, which Simone says she ordinarily spends 20 minutes with a client, but if feet need more attention, she'll spend 25. And since I have no idea how that's going to relate to our clients, I schedule people for 25-minute appointments, and probably a big chunk of them won't take 25 minutes.
Okay.
And I would know that for another time.
Mm-hmm.
She said she doesn't need a break, but I think if we,
Okay.
I think that's certainly something to consider and to ask her. It's just, okay, so, and I asked her if she would take 2 extra people this first time, because one of them is a brand new client,
Mm-hmm.
and both this month and next month are full. So she couldn't start out until September, and I felt kind of bad about that. And I also, the chair of the COA of New Salem, they're thinking about hiring Simone. So they wanted to come, and and so I asked for a special time for Betsy, and so while I was doing that, I asked if Simone minded 2 extra clients, and she said no. Well, of course not. She makes more money that way,
Right.
right? So I guess what I need to know is, I don't necessarily have to talk about this with Simone at the next meeting, but it would make sense to try to figure out whether we're going to stay, and maybe you all want to think about it and talk about it at our next meeting. But we ought to think about whether we want to stay with our regularly 8 clients, 8 spaces a month, plus a waiting list for anybody who wants to be on the waiting list to fill in gaps if there are gaps. Or do we want to extend it so we don't have a waiting list necessarily?
Do we normally have a waiting list?
Yes, we do.
But what it would mean is that, like, you and Donna were speaking about splitting it. So if you did 9 to 11, and then she does 11 to 1, all of a sudden it's now going to 2.
Yeah.
So maybe do it that one time and see how it goes, especially since Betsy is coming and Simone has already acquiesced.
So our next meeting will be before the August foot clinic. So we could make it then. The decision then, or talk about the decision then.
mhm.
I mean, it's really not something that we have to make up our mind about right away.
I
So-
mean, the greatest impact is somebody's time.
Yes, the volunteers' time.
So we could just do it this time and then see if that person minds it being a little longer.
Yeah.
And you randomly asked her, because she was literally the person I was thinking would be it. It's just so funny.
Yeah, no, she volunteered.
Yeah, and
I asked who would be
Right.
interested, and Donna,
Mhm.
she might be.
Yeah, and she seemed tickled with it, with the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, she's such a social butterfly,
she is more and more all the time.
talking to people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just, Donna Corvino?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, she's she has definitely we have this group of women that I don't go as often as I'd like, but a small group of women that has just gotten bigger and bigger, and she started coming to that, and a lot of women have sort of come out of their shell with it. It's kind of amazing.
You talking about Ladies Who Laugh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep wanting to go, but I really want to go.
Mhm.
But I don't like going out at night, and
Mm.
Thursday is often a busy league day. They
Mhm.
tend to do meetings in the evenings, but still, I really should try. Yeah, lately I've been having supper around 9 o'clock. That's when
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
yeah, I had lunch today at 4
Mm.
when I got home. Anyway, but it's fun, so I'm not complaining or whining.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm so glad, and she seemed like she was, interested, and so hopefully that will happen.
That's really nice.
And is that going to start this next week?
Yep, 16th. It's the third Wednesday.
Okay. And you can do the 9 to 11?
Yeah, but Donna's out. Just Donna's not starting in July. Donna will.
Oh, okay.
We'd be talking about it, and she'd be starting in August.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
What else is on our agenda? Are we do we
We have
the newsletter?
we have a little update on activities of neighborhood dementia support, and guess who I'm asking to do it?
Me?
Yeah.
All right, so it continues, this wonderful thing. Still, everyone is meeting once a week. Some of the names that you hear coming up are coming to it as well. There's been representation constantly from the 4 COAs in the 4 towns that encompass Village Neighbors. we ran our first two events that we wanted to start with sort of a positive spin, because I guess we had sort of felt like people were being kind of reserved and confidential, and they don't want, you know, if they're having memory loss, a lot of people are like, this is private, we don't even want anyone to know. So we started with two events for brain health. They were the same event run twice. The first one happened at the Leverett Library. There were 30 people there. And then a week later, we had another one in New Salem, and there were 40 people there. And it was amazing.
Including Mary Jo.
Right.
So true.
Right. Yes, yes, yes. And Millie, that's right. And we have our next one scheduled. I think it's July 31st at the Wendell Library, and it's in the afternoon. We're doing from, I think, 2 to 3, and that one is the many faces of dementia. So people can start to, you know, find out a bit more about this disease.
Yeah.
And then there'll also be a Zoom one at night to allow for maybe a different population to be able to come. And then we're preparing a Zoom that will be available, I think, on our website that kind of gives I want to say that lecture, because in a way, when it's not interactive, that's rather what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jeanette. Anybody questions about what we've been doing? Mary Jo, any comments from you?
Just I think it's great. I thought that the initial two offerings were really helpful. I'm looking forward to additional opportunities to come to these things. And, you know, I think gradually get a little bit more in depth, a little bit more information, a little bit more sharing, a little bit more consistency as like same people keep coming, begin to trust each other. I think it's great. I think it's good. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think they have support groups in mind, and they also have memory cafes in mind for people to come to. You know, once again, this grant was sort of applied for with the idea that let's build it and hopefully people will come. And I think we're getting the sense that that's happening, and then we'll have to see where it goes, because we're not sure what people, you know, necessarily want. We want it to be fairly responsive ready.
Yeah, it's a great program. And like Mary Jo, I really enjoyed the first presentation. I'm looking forward to, Linda's such a good presenter.
She is, isn't she?
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if that's enough on that, we have we have the unanticipated, but the last regular item on the agenda is an update on is plans for the September issue of the Gazette. And what we talked about including was to advertise for community lunch, to talk about the foot clinic and perhaps introduce Simone, to talk about the neighborhood dementia support and whatever is appropriate to be talked about in terms of what's coming up. To remind people about the FERDA's call and response, the transportation wise. Remember? We now have the ability to get FERDA up here to take people places. And I don't know how many, we had 2 people who had questions about it. I have no idea if anybody's using it. And it would be interesting to try to find out from FERDA if they are I'm sure they're keeping records. And it might be helpful for you on the transportation group to know that. And we thought we would have a reminder of SAN for seniors and comment on the fact we want people to know what we're doing, because I think a lot of people have no idea what we're doing. So we'll talk about the fact that we donated money to help keep the program going. And we will talk about the fact that we support library exercise classes. of various kinds, and that we support those, and that people ought to, if they haven't thought about joining them, they ought to think about joining them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say something about the dancing that Joan Green's going to start and try again to start in September. If, or maybe in October, if the September one goes, because that would be early in the month. And we talk about if you have anything to report about the transportation group that is going to come into existence.
This is me.
Yeah, you, Jeanette, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna try to get to that. So I have given myself the month project, I think, or the summer project. I have couple big things, and one of them is the newsletter for Village Neighbors has been done by someone right in the neighborhood, right by you, Mary Jo, and she's kind of done with it. So I've been doing the email, and it's very closely linked. So I said, I'll just take it over certainly for now. And I'm going to be hopefully sitting with her and learning a little bit more, because she gets a little fancier with boxes and things than I do. I tend to have it more like a run-on email. So as I learned that, I'm thinking that might ready me for if articles can come in from maybe these sources right here, or people we ask. Sally Fairfield is always happy to write.
Yeah, she is.
Maybe Donna, once she starts helping with the foot clinic, maybe she could do a little piece on that. So I'm just thinking if we can get those articles, then the
Mhm.
newsletter maybe won't be so terribly onerous with, so the feeling of just one person having to do this, especially being that person is no longer here. So that's an idea I'm kind of throwing out there.
Okay, well, that's great. So just before we get past this, so does the list of topics that I read for it sound okay?
Yeah, is that typed out? Um,
No, it's not typed out right now because it was just us talking about it.
okay. No, I'm really visual, so I'm like, what were they all again?
Okay,
So
well,
how about if I offer to do, which ones would make sense for me? The NDS,
yeah,
that's the acronym, the NDS grant. And then, I don't know what's gonna be, if the transportation will be actually happening at that, point. Um,
yeah. It said in the paper, I guess it was today's paper, that the governor is going to wait on earmarks until September and decide whether there's the money in the budget to do them. But she said that was true of some of the earmarks, not all of the earmarks. And
mhm.
then Saunders' earmark is related to transportation, and transportation is something the governor's emphasizing. Maybe she will approve it earlier.
So can an article go in just as we're hoping all of this will happen?
Oh, sure.
Um, and I think it always helps, especially since we're starting this sort of again after a while. It's amazing how, specifically like Village Neighbors, we send out information, we have information out all the time. I was just at lunch with a friend, and she bumped into a neighbor who lived on her block, and he had no idea what it was. So I think it wouldn't hurt to just do a little synopsis of, hey, we're the Council on Aging and we're sending out this newsletter, and what are a few of the other sources, maybe a la that pamphlet, some of that information. What is, we could lift right from that, the trifold pamphlet.
Mhm.
What are the three sources that are available to help you? And then the lunch, did someone maybe grab the lunch? Because maybe Sally could do that one, since
Uh-huh.
and then what's left? I don't want to offer anybody up. If no one wants to do writing, that's absolutely fine. Because
Well,
this information can be culled from somewhere else.
yeah, I mean, all of this, these are going to be paragraphs, short paragraphs at most. So it's not heavy duty writing, and I'm certainly happy to write some of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of it will just be a few sentences.
And repetition is good. So in terms of getting Sarah Fisk to maybe do a little piece, she would be
Oh,
happy
Yeah, I was
to.
thinking that.
That's,
I
Um,
was thinking that on
I
someone
mean,
that, yeah.
she always has these little, I can put in her little post things, like, sun safety and things like that. That can go in there as well.
okay, basically, we have to figure out how long a publication we're producing, and then when we figure out about, we have to balance how much we could talk about and how long we can afford to make it.
Right. Well, I think we had talked about this first one maybe being that 4-pager where we lose half a page probably for the posting.
Uh-huh.
So we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 chunks of space, and then the masthead, of course.
Mhm.
Which, do we have access to any of this, or will it all be being recreated?
I doubt it. I mean, I
Okay,
don't know whether Patrick has access to,
okay,
I can ask him.
okay. I
There-
don't know if that seems
There
uncomfortable.
are copies around that we can copy.
Yeah, no, I keep
Yeah.
everything with that paperwork. I have
Yeah.
the Our Town, a few of those, and I also have, I'm pretty sure at least the last couple of Gazettes. So I guess
Oh,
it's a
they're
really
all on the-
long-winded way of saying I would probably be willing to take this on because I'm learning how to do it anyway.
Okay, that's great. So how do the rest of you feel about a 4-pager?
I
I think
that's
that would
good if
work.
everything,
Go ahead, Mary Jo.
I think that's good if we can fit everything in.
I think we can make that work
Yeah,
Yeah.
and do the most important stuff. And then if there's runoff stuff, we can wait for next time,
exactly.
And there's some stuff that could be a couple of sentences, but in a later issue expanded. It would be ideal if we could afford to have more than 2 issues a year, which is what we have been in the past doing. Because it's just such a long time between communicating.
It'd be nice if we got all those emails though, and we could just put a little email out instead of a whole, you know?
Yeah, we do both. A lot of people on Village Neighbors were like, please don't send me the real, the newsletter. I'm happy with the electronic, and with the electronic, often there's much more that didn't make it to the 4 pages or however many it is. I'd like to right now just talk about 2 times a year because you don't want to scare me away. I'm like, whoa, Nelly.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Because I even, we're hoping for September, September, or if you would say September, October, that would be really nice.
Yeah, I think September, October sounds good.
Okay. So you know what, I'm going to suggest that when you have a chance to type out a list, maybe separate from the minutes,
Yes.
and then I can think about, who could I, kind of say, would you mind writing a little article? Because sometimes people like doing it. I mean, it would be nice to have something about this, just things that have happened around, like the art walk, the open studio, I mean.
Oh, yeah,
And I
absolutely.
could get somebody to do that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Um,
We have to prioritize what's most important to fit in.
right, but again, I remember the Gazette, I mean, we had like 3 pages on the new foot person or the new nurse at one point. It doesn't, or it doesn't have to be a super long article.
An 8-page or more.
Right. And I don't think it needs to be. I think let's just go with the 4 pages and just be a little more brief.
Yeah, 4 pages.
Concise is a better word. Get all the information in without it being on and on and on and on. Okay, so then if you get that list, we can kind of take a look at it and see if anyone else would be interested. So the reason I was running a little late is I thought the meeting with all the changing, I thought it was from 6 to 7. So that was my bad yet again.
No,
Yeah, I thought that.
Sorry, that was just a possibility if we couldn't,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay. That's, and it got stuck in my head, which is a bad place to get stuck these days. The heat.
Yeah, I think that was, if people were only comfortable meeting on the third Wednesday rather than the fourth or fifth, I think there are 5
Okay.
months. The third Wednesday is Cemetery Commission, which starts, actually, it starts at 6 and runs till 7. So I was asking whether we could go before that, but that sort of
All right, but this worked out.
because this worked out, so not to worry about any of those things. Right, right.
All right, anything else or?
Well, you should probably say a few things about the upcoming transportation group that you're willing to participate in from village neighbors and also from us.
Okay, honestly, I agreed to, I figured I'm gonna get roped into it anyway, but I've been not paying too much attention. I was gonna ignore it, honestly. And then when you threw it out there as possibly, I was like, oh, chances are I'll somehow get involved with it anyway. So I have been kind of ignoring it. So you probably know more than I do.
Well,
Know that we've got this $20,000 and that Elizabeth Hernandez or Brian is putting together a meeting to get information.
right.
Would that be?
Our representative, Aaron Saunders, has an yes, an earmark for $20,000 for village neighbors. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do with it.
Yeah, I don't either. And especially if we're going to do anything, we would need to build on what FERDA's call and response, and we need to find out whether that's used.
Yeah, and I thought it was very interesting that that one Tina somebody immediately like kind of answered it and was like, we offer a lot of this stuff. So it almost seemed like, are they put out? And I don't know that for a fact. But
Well, yeah, I mean, they've sort of bent over backwards to create the call and response was the impression that I got. And this looks kind of odd when you first hear about it. It sounds like it's slapping in the face, FERDA in the face for what it's done.
and have people yeah.
Yeah.
Susan, I could actually, now that we've said this, I could probably go on for about an hour, but I would not want to come out about it in public. It's just some feelings I have, like why, why? Because is stuff that or is already in place even being utilized?
Yeah. And I think you would need to play a role in the committee and bring those issues up. One of my strongest feelings about Aaron Saunders is that he will not support Medicare for all. And that to me is extremely important.
And so that you always have sort of a little bit of a taint towards him. And you're not, yeah, I mean, I don't really, there's certain things I'm very, very, very interested in, and there's other things I have to be honest that I kind of procrastinate and ignore, and that's wrong of me. But I would say this is one of them.
Yeah.
I would hear the word transportation and I would just be like, oh.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
But I think, I know Elizabeth is passionately, interested in it and thinks it's very important. So I certainly need to be supportive. And the fact that this has come through, but some of the ideas that come around, they just seem like, how will that possibly happen?
So one of the things when the village neighbors, when LifePath got interested in the aging and dementia friendly, becoming an aging and dementia friendly community, and we ended up with the big survey.
Yep.
Towns that were interested.
Mm-hmm.
At one point when I was reading up about stuff, I realized that one thing that's out there is a possibility is owning our own van and having the money for a driver to take people with our own transportation to the things they need to go to, but also on trips. And that, if that could be afforded, that would be, and the four towns would certainly share it. That would be great, I think. But
Do
I
you?
don't know if it's realistic.
Okay. I mean, I had a conversation with Sally about this just the other day, and I was just like, how would that work? They can't even find drivers at LifePath to drive, and they're paying them. Where's this van going to live? How are they going to buy this van? Who's going to drive it?
Yeah.
Well, what about bad weather, which we have a third of the year?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just kind of felt like um it just seems difficult to see how it would be. And what if three people need to use it at the same time? And who decides? Well, okay, three people are signing up for it. One of those people like, really needs it suddenly. What is the ramifications of that going to be? But then, I am a little black cloud. I've been called a little black cloud in my life.
Okay, I shouldn't keep us going, and Jessica and Mary Jo are not you're not get involved in this discussion.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about it. I was trying to follow the email thread and I got completely lost. I went back, I started all over again. I'm like, what are we talking about? Like,
So
I
what?
couldn't.
Yeah, what are we talking about? For a couple of years now, one of the probably main things that Village Neighbors provides, it's probably our number one service, is giving people rides.
Right.
And it happens pretty much all the time. And then there used to be the med rides.
Yeah.
And then gosh, I was blanking on the lovely woman, her name, that moved to Montague. Oh, she was so nice. She was on the COA.
Huh?
Huh?
Joanne?
Joanne Bernhardt.
Joanne. Oh my God. At
Yeah.
lunch today, I was like, trying to bring her up, and I just could not remember her name. And I'm very, very good with names. I was really bothered by that. Anyway, she got very involved in it too. Elizabeth got very involved with it, and it became part of the, yeah, as you said, the Life Path survey. Like, we're gonna need more people, more access to transportation. We live up here in the boonies. How does anybody get anywhere? But then they get like Leverett is a prime example. They get a route, and it's not being used very much. And our call and response, is it being used all the time? I would say let's rent a van. What I was saying to Sally, I was like, let's rent a van. We have money to rent a van and see if we get 20 people to like go to the Clark or something, or go wherever.
Yeah.
And just see if it's.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, and because there are certainly things going on now. I mean, you're providing Village Neighbors providing rides for so many people. That's a major service. And the FERTA's call and response and the Leverett. I mean, there are the beginnings of things right now.
Mm-hmm.
So Saunders has to have had some kind of written proposal that he presented to the legislature for him to get I would hope, for him to get his earmark. I would be curious to contact him.
Yeah, or we could ask Elizabeth to do a guest spot for us. I feel like she did that a long time ago. Is that right? And just talk about this. So Jessica, it's just about, when you later on in life, when you can't drive anymore, how are you going to get any place?
Right.
So it's like trying to build, but it just seems a little unrealistic sometimes.
I have a question that may or may not be related, but I've been wondering about. I have friends, a couple, who moved to the area from Boston
Mm-hmm.
and chose the community that they were going to live in based on the fact that they could get rides for him. Has a disability, he can't drive, pretty much at the drop of a hat whenever he needed it, which apparently is the case in Amherst, where they moved. And I thought to myself, what's the difference between Amherst and Shutesbury?
A lot of
Why does Amherst have this going on? Who pays for it? How much does it cost? How is it set up? And why wouldn't they share?
Mm.
Well, why wouldn't they share? I mean, obviously it would cost Amherst money. And so they would want a financial offering from Shutesbury, I would say, or from any town involved. So I'm wondering whether the service comes out of the senior center or whether it's their village neighbors, their neighbors.
Or whether it's Uber,
Not-
or if he's working in a community, if he's living in an actual community, there might be a van right there with a driver all day
Not a
long.
special community. And
No?
this information was available to him as someone living in Boston, looking to move to a community that has this service. I will ask him more about it.
Do that.
I thought it was
that.
something that might be common knowledge. Apparently, not so much. And I guess my feeling is if we had $20,000, or, it would be much more economical, given that we don't have a lot of usage, to make that available, like for a bigger number of towns to cooperate in that. I don't know what kind of, and I don't even know, they may have state funding for it, for all I know.
They may. Well, there's a bit of a
Yeah,
problem is in that Amherst is in another county and another electoral district, so that Aaron Saunders is not the rep for Amherst. Mindy Dahm is.
hmm
So
I know there are a number of towns, not just Amherst, that has this.
I mean, that's what I mean, like, there's Ferta, there's the other one, something cog, and there, so it could have something to do with that.
EVTA.
I don't know. He called one time, he got a ride just out of the blue all the way to Springfield and back. Person drove him there, waited for him, and drove him back home.
Village neighbors, that can happen. I mean, they encouraged people to please let us know 2 or 3. If you know you have a doctor's appointment in a month, why would you take the chance? But we get rides very often for people at the last minute who really need them.
LifePath I believe LifePath has a program which takes people. Is this the one that goes out of county? There's one that goes out of county only. I don't know. Well, as Jeanette said, Joanne was our expert, and it might be interesting to ask Joanne to come and talk to us.
Yeah, we would love to see Joanne again.
Yeah.
And maybe, why don't we make that for August, that we see if Joanne is available to come and talk to us, and then Mary Jo find out this information, because they do have a village there. But like Northampton is doing less and less of actual direct services, and they're moving almost to like an online platform where it's these new special interest groups that we're starting up. Susan, I don't know if you had gotten information about that.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, they're largely that. And not like giving rides and screwing in light bulbs and taking people for walks
They
and
do have
weeding.
good public transportation in Northampton, I think. Pretty good. I
But
mean,
for an older person who, is going to your eye doctor to get your shots in your eyes, that's public transportation stuff.
but
But
they do have a van that does special trips. Like
Amherst does, or Northampton?
wants, I think. Ferta does.
Yeah.
Is my understanding.
Yes, for some of it, I think it's just the setup. I remember helping my dad with it down in New York City. What was his Accessoride? Ah, it was just murderous trying to get that thing set up. And then the day he moved into assisted living, and he goes, "Guess what I just got in the mail today, Jeanette? My card from Accessoride." Figuring he would never, ever use it. But you know what? He did use it a few times when I couldn't go down there and take him somewhere.
Oh, that's good. Okay, before we get too involved in this, which we are quite a bit, we need to remember that, do we as a group want to get involved in whatever transportation suggestions come out of the group that's meeting? Or do we want to sort of sit on the sidelines and wait to find out from Jeanette what's being developed? Because what we're doing now in terms of things like talking about bringing Joanne in to talk about transportation, that sounds like should be the business of the group.
Oh,
Rather-
that transportation group.
yeah,
I think it's simply getting better information for all of us, including myself.
okay. Well, it would benefit you in the group,
I
right?
mean, you know, I hear FERCog or FERDA and I'm just like, I glaze over. It's bad. There's certain things I'm either like, you know, so interested in something, or I'm just like, oh, do we really have to talk about this?
Okay, so I'll ask Joanne if she is free for the August meeting.
Yeah, I think it would be super to see her.
Give us some information about the whole transportation history of COA and the town of Shutesbury in terms of its thinking. And
Okay. And if not, I mean, I'm sure Elizabeth would maybe be happy to do it as well.
Joanne actually knows what happened in Shutesbury and in the COA, and I don't think Elizabeth does, which so that would be helpful, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I hear you about asking Elizabeth.
Mhm.
Does that sound okay to everybody else?
Fine with me?
Jess, is
Yeah.
that okay?
Yes.
Do we have well, thank you all for this discussion. Do we have anything else to bring up? Any unanticipated business?
I don't think so.
Okay, so we are going to meet, our next meeting would be on the third Wednesday of August, which is, I
13th?
want to say okay, is it the 13th?
I think so.
The second Wednesday of August, not the third.
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking,
And that would be the second,
Right.
well, we are the second
That's
Wednesday,
13th.
but it still would be the 13th.
Yep,
Okay.
at 5:30.
All righty.
Okay, so
Again, apologizing for my just not quite understanding when these meetings start.
well, not to worry. There was confusing communication, and I should have sent out another clearer note to everybody.
Or I could just pay better attention, so I apologize.
Thanks, Jeanette. Don't need to apologize. I need to. Okay, so is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
There is motion to
Second.
adjourn the meeting.
Okay, and is it seconded?
Yes.
Okay, is there any discussion about adjourning the meeting?
No.
So let's have a roll call vote, and Kat doesn't get to vote.
Watson, I.
Make peace, I.
Dr. and I,
Millinger, aye. Okay, and the time is somebody who's got a function,
6:42.
6:42. Well, we almost made it to an hour.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
thanks
Thanks.
so much,
Stay
lady.
cool, everybody. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
See you Wednesday, Susan.
See you Wednesday. Yep.
Good luck with that.
No, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.